This is a block for a Dodge Cummins 12 valve. Doing some prep here on the deck. Stuff like cleaning off the old gasket and checking with the straight edge and a feeler gauge. Doing a bit of sanding as well. So there's some corrosion damage, but I don't think it's going to be a problem. So here's an area, for example. So that dark area right there, looks like it's right behind the firing and is a kind of a low area there. And likely this is a coolant port here, and likely some coolant has somehow caused corrosion in this area. And a similar thing here, there's a dark line right there, and I can feel it's a slight low spot, but looks like it's just behind that firing, and possibly coolant has somehow got in here. And so stuff like that. But I've been paying attention to the firing surface on all of the cylinders, and I don't think that's going to be a problem. I think that firing should seal nice. So tool selection for cleaning the surface is kind of important. Well, actually it's really important. Like, for example, if I took a tool like this on a die grinder and I made a decision to clean this all out nice and sand it down to the bottom, then it's a good chance that that firing will not seal and it'll have a compression leak into the water jacket. I don't want to remove, area where that gasket has to seal, so I'm trying to do this all with block, hand sanding, and no power tools are being used here on the deck surface at all. Also, there's oil ports coming through the deck and going to the head. So there's 6 of them, and what I did is I just took little pieces of rag and shoved it down in there, and I think I'll easily be able to pull those out later with a needle nose plier. So the straight edge is plenty long enough, and I've got a 2 thou feeler gauge here, and so I'm just going along looking for areas where it can work its way under. And this area turned out to be pretty good. At one point I found a gap that I suspect that I had the straight edge possibly on some of my rag here or something, but generally this area here is really nice. So I'll move the straight edge to an area where I discovered what seemed to be kind of a low spot. So I'm kind of in the middle of the bore. But I'm not on this edge. So in this position, I can't slide that 2 thou underneath the straight edge. So something interesting here. So now when I slide the straight edge onto this end, I'll go about halfway. So it's just starting to get underneath there. Starting to hook in there. A little tighter here. And now I'll move the straight edge to the end, basically. So now it's starting to get easier. That one slips in it pretty good. It's easy. And towards this end it gets tighter again. I've been doing some extra sanding here on this end. It seems as though there's a ridge of high spot here, and it starts close to the fire ring, and well, let's see, I'll put it barely on that fire ring area, and I'll see what happens. So it's just starting. but it gets progressively worse as I move this over. So I've been kind of concentrating a little bit extra on this area to try and sand it down. And what I've been using is, I've got a block sander here left over from the auto body days, and there was still some sandpaper stuck on there. So I've been using that. And also, I did use this one, the short one, a little bit. And then I thought, well, actually, because it's towards the end, likely the head gasket will compress that little bit extra easier because it's kind of off to the end, and it'll just kind of, you know, I suspect that it just won't be a problem. And it's only 2 thou, you know, for a straight edge running basically the length of the whole block. Oh, we'll check it here. I discovered a little problem area on the deck surface, and I will try and place that problem area approximately in the center of the screen and see if you can see what I'm talking about. So on the screen here I can see where the fire ring for the head gasket goes, and inside that area is that little mark, and if I get my fingernail on it I can easily detect it. So that's a very critical area for sealing. And so you see, the thing is, this is not a high spot, and I thought, well, okay, I'll just sand here a little bit with the with my little block sander, and really that's kind of a bad idea because this is not a high spot. To fix that, the entire deck surface, it needs to be resurfaced to remove that out of there. So cross-checking reveals that it's out by almost 3 thou. And the results are about the same if I cross-check the other way. So I can't get 4 under there, but 3 does start. So I kind of thought that maybe it would be an idea if I do some deck resurfacing here on a bigger scale, and so I'm working on a tool to assist me in doing that. So I guess this is one of those to be continued videos. Anyways guys, thanks for checking in.